with EWN, Enlightened World Network, One with the Earth. We are having a launch celebration this weekend, and so excited to have Michele Landers and Maya White with us here. Now, they've been with us before. Michele does recurring shows here on Enlightened World Network, both meditations as well as numerology gifts every month as she gets us ready for the upcoming month. And Maya has joined us before. The two of them together heralded in 2021. And I think we can safely say never was there a year as welcomed as 2021 was. So, ladies, Maya White is a master destination astrologer. So we've got the numerology and the astrology here. In addition to mastering astrology, Maya is one of only 100 people in the world certified in Astro Cartography. And I'm going to ask you to explain to us what exactly is that?
Well, astrocartography, Ruth, is actually a very specialized branch of astrology, and it helps people find their best place on the earth to find success, love, money, and develop your full potential.
So people will actually move to a location based on what you're telling them?
Yes.
Ah.
And you don't, a lot of people contact me who are looking for a move, but it really isn't only about moving. It's a place to move or travel to. So you can actually travel to these certain specific personal activated destinations to to get something going in your own life, depending on what the planetary lines are. Everybody has a unique profile.
Wow. I want to learn more about that.
Yeah, I know, everybody. It's amazing. I love it. And it is just absolutely stunning work, Ruth, because every reading that I do is completely synchronistic. And, it tells you so much. I get information from past lifetimes. I get ancestral information. And, like a past lifetime would be, let's say that it's subjective, right? Like people know based on their feeling, and they might know based on, things that have happened. But ancestry is really, like your personal history, and ancestry always comes up in astrocartography.
Well, between the two of you, sum up somebody's, wow, that's so exciting. All right, we'll talk about that when you all are finished. So I'm going to get off screen here, let you two play. Between the two of you, you have such a wealth of knowledge. You're master speakers, you're teachers, you're authors. You bring so much to the table here. So excited to have you. And I'm going to let you play.
Thank you so much, Ruth. I really appreciate it. And we love being on Enlightened World Network because Enlightened World Network is a place for everyone to go to get information on all different spiritual modalities. It's unbelievable. And I love how Ruth introduced us, because I kind of think that we're a dynamic duo, aren't we, Maya?
Michele, like right from the beginning, right? I mean, right. I have to say, the first minute I met you, there was no question. Right. I think we connected right away. And here we are years later.
I know, it's amazing. And I get so excited when I hear about the astrology, and especially, the Astro Cartography is amazing. Excuse me. And I know that your workshop was absolutely amazing as well. So I would, just a little plug for you, only because I love what you do so much. And I know that there's very few people who are doing it. Check it out. You'll be amazed. I mean, you're only one of 100 people in the world. So, and we're here tonight to talk about a number of things, right? We're here to talk about the vibrations that are going on, and astrology and numerology complement one another so much. And I love that we're doing that together, because I think we're going to bring some really interesting information to the forefront. So what I wanted to start with first is a little bit, an article that I wrote was about green spirituality. And then I'll get into a little bit about the numbers again for the year and what we can expect as far as how is Mother Earth reacting to the numerology this year and to the how is the astrology affecting Mother Earth, and how are the numbers, numerology, affecting Mother Earth? But green spirituality to me is, if you go back, there's no denying, right, that the hippie movement of the 60s left an indelible mark on our culture. And many of the precepts that were shared by that generation, they do continue to grow and flourish in a different way. I think we've all grown up and we have a different perception on how to accomplish what we need to accomplish for our precious planet. So one of the things that we knew then, and I think it was really driven home, is that the awareness that we are connected. We are all connected. What I do affects everyone around me, and that affects everyone around them. And the same thing with you. I affect you, you affect me. So when the hippies did speak of that connection, of course, it was recognized that it included our beloved Mother Earth. So as time went on and the concern over global warming became, unfortunately, more of a political thing, it seemed like the spiritual essence of this debate seemed to be severed. So talks of climate change were being exchanged by politicians, activists, scientists, and based on cold hard facts, scientific analysis. And the debate still rages on. And many of us are in fear for our planet and the dire warnings that are there. So the thing is, we are our planet. We are all one living, breathing organism. And we've got to acknowledge the spirituality of our existence and this immensely important facet when discussing ways of how do we solve, the challenge of global warming. So spirituality is both personal and impersonal, meaning that in our spiritual practice, we discover our connection to the universe and ways to get in touch with our divine essence. And then as we expand that consciousness, we understand our connection to all things. And it bears repeating, we're spiritual beings having a spiritual experience. And that experience includes our physical world and our survival on Earth. So how can we evolve spiritually if we ignore our planet's needs and allow it to de-evolve? Our physical activities are threatening our very existence and our future. And as spiritual beings, we need to make a conscious effort to include activities that add to the positive growth of our planet. So green spirituality is living in harmony, not only with each other, but also the earth. But let's talk about the color green. So green, and I love how this is always mirrored, green carries a vibration of the earth, growth, healing, and planting. It also vibrates to the number 4. So when I see a number 4, say in a person's chart, I know that they have a connection to the earth. They likely like to build. It could be physically, or they like to build systems. And they also like to work with their hands. And that can take a lot of different forms, like writing, sculpting, musical instruments. And so numerologically, this year, there can be significant changes taking place. And as I had mentioned previously in other presentations, the weather this year can be rather volatile. And as we've already seen, and that will continue throughout the year, the earth is reacting to a lot of the energy that has been put into this planet. Because remember, last year was quite an upsetting and tumultuous year. And since we're connected to everything, our energy is also it is also expressing itself in Mother Earth. So a lot of these weather changes can happen abruptly, but what we are experiencing is one of my favorite expressions, or not so favorite. We're experiencing growth through forced experience, which often happens when we don't heed the call of the universe to change some of our ways. So addressing issues such as climate change is going to take place against the backdrop of a turbulent weather, a lot of different, things happening, volcanoes, hurricanes, tornadoes, even perhaps another tsunami, and a lot of natural disasters. But all of this, the good news, because there's always good news, all of this is pushing us towards a more humane world. So that's a little bit about my take on green spirituality and the number 4. And Maya, what do you have to say about all that?
Well, Michelle, so your theme of green spirituality really inspired me to drill down onto one aspect of astrology for this year. I mean, I know astrology can be a really complex subject and people get so confused. Everybody's like, what's that mean, right? When you're saying something. So I felt that a discussion tonight of the planet/asteroid Chiron was completely 1,000% fitting with the theme of green spirituality. Chiron is a planet/asteroid that was discovered in the 1970s. It's actually thought that Chiron was a comet that went and traveled around the sun, and it somehow didn't quite escape the gravitational pull of the sun. But that Chiron as a comet came from like another star system, right? And he went around the sun. Yeah. And then Chiron as a comet got trapped between the planets of Saturn and Uranus. And Chiron now orbits in what is called the asteroid belt, which is where a bunch of the other different asteroids, travel. But Chiron is known as the wounded healer of astrology. So I won't get I don't want to get too much in detail about the story of Chiron, but basically Chiron is known as being like half human and half divine. So the story of Chiron is that he was, his mother was a goddess, Rhea, and his father was a centaur. And the centaur raped his mother, and she gave birth to Chiron. And, she saw this little creature come out of her, right? That looked like a horse and half human. And she just abandoned it. So this was like Chiron had, right upon his birth, right? He was abandoned, he was thrown away. And Chiron, being centaur, he raised himself. He was able to, provide for himself. He had helpers, of course, that nurtured him. And Chiron actually grew up to be a very wise teacher and a philosopher. Chiron, the word Chiron has the core of Christos or Christ, and it actually has the same core as would be hands-on healing. So Christ was known as a laying on of the hands, a hands-on healing. So this whole chirotic, Christos, Chiron, that from the Greek word, is all affiliated with Chiron. So the further part of the story of Chiron is that he was mortally wounded. Chiron received a very, very painful injury. He was poisoned by an arrow that was shot at like one of those centaur parties, right? And it landed in his heel, the Achilles heel, the most vulnerable part of the body. And he, because he was half divine, he couldn't really die. He was in so much pain, right, that he wanted to just end his life. And he ended up trading his gift of immortality for the gift of, with Sisyphus, one of the other Greek mythological characters, to actually be able to die and leave this world. So there's this whole archetype with Chiron of our deepest pain, physical, emotional, mental pain, but, you know, and that we all have it, but it's this idea of healing and not being trapped in our pain. So,
wow.
So Chiron can be thought of as like a verb. It's an action. It's that healing action we take. A lot of the characters in mythology and in astrology, let's say, would be like a noun, like a person, place, or thing, right? Like Jupiter is like the god of, you know,
Yes.
of justice. Saturn is the god of time, like they're nouns, but Chiron is like an action that you take.
Wow.
And yeah, the glyph, the symbol for Chiron looks like a key. I don't have a picture to show people, but if, again, you can just Google Chiron and you'll see it kind of looks like a skeleton key, right? And you can think again, like Chiron is this action of unlocking our healing, you know, taking that action, doing something. So Chiron is like a bridge, right? And he's a bridge between what is divine in humans and what is mortal in humans. This is all part of the Chiron healing journey. Chiron was a teacher as well as a student. He taught others. Chiron was absolutely a wounded soul. He was wounded himself, but he was known as a great healer. He's remembered as a great healer. Wow. He taught, and he taught the healing arts. So Chiron really rules the idea of the collective healing, all of us, of humanity. It's how we heal as people. We heal on the personal level, but also like the healing of Mother Earth, right? Like we're all going through this process of healing together at this time. And again, that's why I thought like green healing, you know, is so much about Chiron.
Oh, wow.
Chiron is also represents that pathway from like the mundane, our day-to-day life. Like I got a Chiron injury hurt my body. I got a physical wound, to the sacred and the spiritual. So like the work of Louise Hay, well, if you hurt your left arm, what does that mean? What's the metaphysical reason behind that injury? And Chiron, this is one of the most interesting things. Chiron really functions like a hologram. So all is one, one is all.
Oh my goodness.
Right? And Chiron is a hologram that unifies the dimensions. So the vibration coming into alignment and finding that vibrational unity, and ultimately keeps the human mind from reverting, from going back to like monkey mind, right?
Wow,
Which
right.
we all,
yes.
you know, we all have. We have that monkey mind, but through Chiron, through the rainbow bridge, through that union, Chiron helps us to, progress and align, and through the idea of a hologram, becoming really healed ourselves, healing of the human soul, healing of the race, healing of Mother Earth.
Wow. 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 I had no idea. So Chiron right now is Chiron is having an effect is in right now on what we're going through.
Well, Chiron absolutely has an effect, in kind of in I've broken down my presentation on Chiron into three parts for this evening. So I wanted to just first introduce him, and then I'm going to talk about how we integrate Chiron. But Chiron really, of course, has an effect. It's in the sign of Aries, and I'm going to talk more in detail about that tonight. But Chiron, is impacting us all, and it's quite interesting that we really didn't know about Chiron until the 70s, until 1977. So it's kind of thought that the moment, at the time, like the planet was discovered, started to like infiltrate and percolate into human consciousness.
Wow. I'm just blown away. I did not have any idea. I mean, I've heard the word Chiron before, but I didn't know anything about it. So, and I can see that there is so much information.
It's really sweet, huh? How
Oh,
how
I mean,
how it
just
aligns with green spirituality.
It does. So I'm just there's something I wanted to share, a couple of things I wanted to share, and I want to go back to what you're talking about. So one of the, and this is fascinating. So I'm kind of sitting on the edge of my seat because I want to hear more about this. But I wanted to talk a little bit about Peter Calhoun. I don't know if you ever heard of him, but he was an Episcopal priest turned shaman. He was the author of Soul on Fire, and he was amazing.
I've heard that title, Soul on Fire. I didn't know his name.
Okay. Yeah, and he passed away in 2013, but he was among some of the, I was going to say few people, but I don't know how many masters were here or are here on the planet Earth. And he could manifest fire, winds, rain, and draw creatures of the wild to him through his energy, his thoughts, and his heart. I just love listening to him. He was so powerful that he could bring you to tears. And one of the things he said about our connection to Mother Earth, and I love this, and I'm going to read it. We have the false belief that the earth belongs to us to divide and parcel up. The earth doesn't belong to us. We belong to the earth. And the Native Americans knew this. And this false belief system that we've been given has caused us to look at life in a very limited way. And the key to freedom is knowing that you've been given these false beliefs. If you perceive the world as an inanimate object and something impersonal, that's exactly what you'll experience. If you perceive it as a magical place, a divine being whom you love and have oneness, then that's what you'll experience. So if we are bound and determined to get it with our minds, we're on a wild goose chase. We need to get it with our heart. We need to feel it. And I thought that was so beautiful. And I often will read that because I just want to remind myself, because we run around for the most part, and I'm not blaming us or anything, but we seem to think that we have dominion over the planet, and we really don't. We really don't. We belong to the planet. The planet doesn't belong to us. And I think the more that we can get that and respect that, then it will change our perception and how we see the world and how we treat this precious gift that we've been given. And St. Francis of Assisi was also an example of an ecologically aware Christian, because he wrote with deep love and affection about our communion with the natural world. And I think so many people understand that. They certainly know about, well, I'm not saying that everyone knows, but I think there's very few people that didn't hear of St. Francis of Assisi. So we're coming to a place where we talk a lot, and we have talked a lot for 50, 60 years, and I guess probably longer, about the earth and what we need to do to not only have it sustain us, but us sustain the earth. But we're reaching a critical point in so many ways. And that's one of the things I heard you talk about when you're talking about Chiron, is that all of the things that have been happening to us is to awaken us to who we are, to our connection to all things, and to give us this gift of changing our ways. And by changing our ways, how we treat each other, how we treat the planet, we are opening the doors to a beautiful new life. But we have to take action. So, but I want to hear more about Chiron before I talk about the numbers again.
Okay. Well, Chiron is actually about taking action, right?
Yeah.
Like Chiron is a verb. Chiron can be thought of as something you do. Like you do Chiron, you take action. And certainly, I mean, you mentioned 50 years, and that's I would say a bit in alignment with the discovery of Chiron, you know.
Oh, wow. Okay.
From the 70s to 2020. So taking action, and really, again, as an SOS, you know, from Mother Earth, is that, you know, our healing path as humans will be aligned with the healing path of the earth. And so again, doing Chiron, and what I'm going to do later on today is I do have significant dates in this year in 2021 of Chiron transit, you know, that I want to point out. But in general, like the big picture, like what do we do, you know, to heal ourselves and align and help with the healing of Mother Earth, again, is taking action. So it's emotional healing, but it's also physical healing. That's the thing. Everybody's like, seems to be so much like, oh, you know, emotion, mental, spiritual healing, but that there is a very much a physical aspect of it. But it's dealing with Chiron or chirotic healing. It's really not a thing of like where we win or lose. It's not a yes or no. It's more about union and stepping into a new dimension. So another way to think of Chiron is like this idea of the monkey brain, left and right hemispheres of the brain, but that the Chiron is, again, that bridge in between the cortexes or the sides of the brain. And the goal, what we're looking for here, is really a restructuring of our cells and a you know, opening of the new strands of DNA. It's that type of a deep healing, going from physical to mental to emotional to soul healing. So personal healing modalities that will be helpful related to Chiron are going to be obviously hands-on healing, energy work, working with the chiropractor, somebody who actually can manipulate your bones and the systems in the body, acupuncture, food as medicine, exercise, herbs. Divination is also an aspect of Chiron because it's that non-logical connection, right?
Yes.
Goes beyond the mind, unites the two worlds. And then, of course, in really environmental healing, everybody has their own responsibility and can play their own role in that. But tuning into ecology, being aware of that, something as simple as recycling, increasing your personal use of solar power, wind, water, cleaning the oceans, you know, the personal into the collective.
Yes.
These are all paths of healing.
Wow. And there's so much that, again, the big word is action. That's the big word, to take action.
Yeah.
Enough talk about it. It's time for action. And for this year, we're under two main vibrations. One is 5 for the universe, for the planet, which is easy enough to figure out. It's 2021. So we add those together. That's a 5. So the 5 energy is a lot of ups and downs and changes and letting go, letting go, letting go, letting go. Anybody who is in a 5 vibration, and we are as a planet in a 5 vibration, we are being told we have to let go of the old ways. We have to change. It's letting go. And sometimes what happens if we don't let go, then the universe has a way of tapping us on our shoulder or taking a 2x4 and hitting us over the head with, this, please pay attention. So that's why so much and prior to this year, we had, of course, the very tumultuous 4, and that was a 22-4 vibration. So it's not, and we talked about this before, so I won't belabor that point, but we all knew that there was something big happening last year, but we didn't pinpoint that it was going to be a pandemic. And when you talk about healing, so the other piece that's going on right now, numerologically, with the United States, and again, every country has its own vibration that interacts with whatever the universal vibration is. So for the United States, we're under the vibration of the 7. And 7 is an extraordinarily spiritual number. So everything that you were talking about, the healing modalities, the spirituality, all of that is bubbling up right now. And it's encouraging us and pushing us. So the more people that can get on board with spiritual modalities or anything to do with raising your spirituality is going to help break through this resistance that we might have had previously to just focus on material plane and that's it. It's really what the universe is saying. You can't do that anymore. You have to have your connection to the divine has to be number one. Has to be. It has to come before anything else. And I am not saying that you have to go off and levitate off the mountain in the Himalayas, or you have to stop living. Yeah, I know that's not such a bad idea, but yeah, right? Not so bad. But you don't learn anything. I mean, if you're a master and you want to go levitate off the mountain, okay, that's great. And you want to, share your wisdom. But that saying, I want to go off and I just want to meditate and levitate or whatever it is. I mean, that's all fine and good, but we're here on the planet for a reason. We're not here to isolate.
Yeah, I just want to add at this time, Michelle, like living on the mountain and meditating is kind of an age of Pisces kind of a thing, right? Like the age of the spiritual master. And again, this is part of this idea of the rainbow bridge, is that Chiron is really like a bridge. He's bringing us into the age of Aquarius. We're shifting into the age of Aquarius. It's like probably a lot of us have already done that. I know I have. We've had lifetimes living in the Himalayas, and like we have a more, like, let's say, householder path in this lifetime, in this age.
Good word. I like that. Yeah, and I totally agree with that. And so this 7 for the United States, I suspect that more and more people are going to be, some people are going to be changing what they do in life, their jobs. and directing their energy to something that is more spiritual, more humanitarian work, that type of thing. So even if you still have what we consider a very practical, down-to-earth job, because we need all jobs. It's not like, I mean, where would the planet be if, well, I don't know. It might be in a good place if everybody was meditating all the time. I don't know. And then we could just manifest for booty. But anyway, again, the 7 is encouraging all of us to reach higher, that it's safe. Don't be afraid, have faith, believe, because we have a great lineup of energies and entities that are supporting us right now to reach higher and to expand our consciousness. And as we do that, we change the planet. And this year, it's like our ego from last year to this year has really taken a hit. And what I have seen, interestingly, it's kind of very interesting, as a matter of fact. So all of this stuff that happened last year, and we did lose so many lives. And now what I have noticed, and it kind of fits in with the energy, is people are still being affected. It's like the aftershock of what happened. And I have seen illnesses starting to bubble up because of all that stress that everyone has gone through. And it really, really is interesting, especially in the past, actually since the beginning of the year. It's like people went, oh, okay, is this the ending of it? But all of that stress that built up, if we weren't able to get rid of it or to work on ways to deal with it, there's been a lot of physical illnesses happening, I noticed. And that probably has to do, again, not only with what happened last year, but the energy that we're under right now. So again, it's another message. Please raise your consciousness, but most importantly, raise your consciousness, but have faith and trust in the process, because we are entering into a whole new world. And it's not like tomorrow it's going to happen, or it wasn't going to happen on December. What was that? Really important.
21st.
But that was heralding in this new age that we're going through. So the 7 this year is going to ask people to have faith, to have patience, to turn to, more than ever, turn to your spiritual beliefs or your religious beliefs, to work with the earth, to work with other people. I know that lately I have found myself in the position of doing a lot more humanitarian work, and I am thrilled to do that and volunteer work, because I know the planet needs it right now. What else was I going to talk about? Well, I'm going to turn it over to you again, because it's 7:40 and I know that we have some limited time here.
Okay.
Is that okay?
Yeah, no, that's good. I mean,
I want to hear those dates. I want to hear those dates.
I just, I would just say, kind of in transition, like I've been really thinking about how, in terms of my own friendships, that now it's like very much like the group. It's all about the group, you know. It is truly Aquarian. And it's been an interesting shift for me, because I tend to really value, let's say, personal one-on-one relationships and friendships. And it's just like, it's definitely shifting now. And I'm okay, but I had to kind of do a little brain adjust there. And I'm now thankful, you know, for the groups, my group friendships that I'm in.
Oh,
it's different. So when it comes to astrology, there's 2 things. There are what would be called your personal transits or your personal profile. So everybody has a birth chart, And, when we get specific on terms of when is something going to happen in my life, it will be more activated dependent on your personal chart. There is also what would be called like the universal, prediction or forecast. And that's what I'm going to give today, is the universal prediction. These are things that are for everyone. So
Okay.
In 2021, so Chiron in this year is in the sign of Aries. Chiron entered Aries actually in 2019, and it will stay there until 2026. So it's going to be in the sign of Aries for a while. But at its best, Aries is about courage, taking the initiative, developing your personal power, and your assertiveness. So, for example, today's the equinox. Today is the day that the first day that the sun actually enters into Aries.
Oh, right. This is the right.
It's the first day of the zodiacal new year. So happy New Year, everybody.
So happy New Year, right?
Happy New Year. So with that said, the other big thing that's going on this year is is Saturn square Uranus. And this is really like a signature for 2021. And if we think that Uranus is like the planet of radical change, and Saturn is the old establishment, those two are bumping heads all year. This is the year where that becomes like, and grind the old against the new. But then remember, Chiron orbits between those two planets. So Chiron, again, is basically bridging that square between those two outer planets. So here are some significant dates. Chiron sextiles Saturn February 9th, June 24th, and November 27th. So we have 3 dates of a Chiron-Saturn direct interaction. And this is actually a really good thing. Saturn is really like stabilizing Chiron, or Chiron is like stabilizing Saturn. So it's almost like taking like a tonic or something, like it kind of stabilizes the tension. It doesn't make it go away, but it regenerates it, like modifies it. It's like kind of like a transistor.
Really? Wow.
So these are what I feel is going to be, brought to the forefront for everybody. Healthy boundaries, which when you have healthy boundaries, this will actually increase personal manifestation skills. So you become a more powerful manifester with good boundaries. And it's also for everyone going to help balance logic with intuition.
Oh, wow.
And finding what would be called the chirotic point in our brains, which is like that holographic still point where anything becomes possible.
Oh gosh, yes.
Right? Like the still point. So February, exact February 9th, exact June 24th, exact November 27th, but give 2 weeks really on either side of these dates as as a peak time. So early February, mid-June, late November. And like a stabilization, or finding again that holographic still point in our brains. It's like the universe externally, I think, will help us find that point.
Wow.
The other,
go on.
I'll keep going because I don't want to run out of time. May 7th. Is that we have Chiron is sextile the North Node. Now the sextile is considered an aspect of opportunity.
Yes.
It's there for you. You're doing good.
I don't know a lot about astrology, and God bless you for being in my life because you're such a wealth of information. But I heard that sextiles are good. So continue.
Sextiles are good. It's an opportunity. It's an invitation. So what I say about this is I'm calling it a date with destiny, because it's a North Node. It's our destiny. It's what did I come into this lifetime to learn about? And this will be an opportune time to move past distractions that keep us from fulfilling our life and our soul purpose.
Oh, wow. Wow.
You know?
That is so in alignment, though, with the 7 of the United States that we're in right now, you know?
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
Wow.
Move past distractions, right? Like trust that we're supported, trust that spirit supports us at, you know, like the top of the 7, right? We have that resting place of, you know, of spirituality, and then bringing it down to the earth. On March 26th, which is coming right up, a few days, Chiron is going to join Venus and the Sun. So what happens? This is something that's somewhat related, but somewhat different. On March 26th through the 29th, we're having what's called a superior conjunction of Venus. So Venus conjuncts the Sun. And when this happens, it really means that we have arrived at a culmination or a blossoming or turning point. So it's similar to like a full moon.
Oh.
Right?
Okay.
Like it's a harvest, it's a culmination. And after this time, after the end of this month, with Venus having, you know, reached a superior conjunction, there's really kind of generally universally, like it's more a time of more maturity. Like Venus is shifting, she's becoming the evening star. So she has more thoughtfulness. She's not out to, you know, wreak havoc. She's out in more like the Taurus aspect of Venus, to be like glorious and beautiful and let things blossom.
Wow.
Right?
Wow.
And then Venus will be out of the sky for a while, about 3 weeks, and then Venus will return as an evening star in late April, early May. So Chiron, again, is like joining, you know, I mean, when you think about it, like this could be anywhere in the sky. This conjunction could be anywhere in the sky, and Chiron could be anywhere in the sky, but yet Chiron is right there with, you know, involved in that Sun Venus conjunction. So I would like to think of this again as like a healing, a regeneration of the divine feminine, a reemergence, you know, like Venus going, you know, into the underworld, but being really cradled and, you know, brought into this force of really holographic healing.
Wow. Wow. Beautiful. There's no doubt that we have crossed the threshold to a whole new way. And I do think that there's going to be so many changes, a lot of technological changes as well, but for the good of the planet, the way we deal with the food industry, the way we deal with gardening as well. It's a time of new technological advances and new ways of our doing our life in a more positive, holistic way. And that's the magic of the number 7 and this year. So, and I do also believe that we're going to have more of a connection, without a doubt, to the whole planet and other countries. I feel like other countries will be coming together. And one of the things, I know that we've got to get going pretty soon, but there was something, this might seem really unrelated, but I had posted something the other day, and it was something from Alice in Wonderland, because I really feel like we're in an Alice in Wonderland world, you know, where things that were up are now down, but it's really magical. And I just love this quote from Alice in Wonderland. And I want us to dare to dream the impossible. And I had posted that. So what have we got to lose, right? So the Queen said to Alice, or Alice said to the Queen, there's no use in trying. One can't believe impossible things. And the Queen responds, I dare say you haven't had much practice. When I was your age, I always did it for a half hour a day. Why, sometimes I've believed as many as 6 impossible things before breakfast. And I don't think I could make that any clearer or impress that any more on people, because that's how important it is. We have to believe the impossible. We have to have faith. We are stepping into a whole new world, and we have to do that bravely. We do have the support. I can feel how much we're all coming together, and I think it's so beautiful. So I think that that kind of wraps it up for us. So have faith, step into your power, be blessed, go out there, help others.
All right. 6 impossible things a day.
Yes, yes,
I love
yes,
that.
yeah.
And believe the impossible.
Believe the impossible, yes.
So many great tidbits that you all have provided for us here. So we do need to wrap up here, but Michele, if people want to follow your work, how do they find you?
My name, Michele, Michele, Landers, LANDERS.com. And there's a lot of information on there. And I just want to mention that I do hope that people keep in touch with Maya and I, because we will be doing a numerology and astrology workshop that I don't think has been done for a long time, where I don't even know. But yes, so thank you for that, Ruth.
Excellent. And Maya, how can people contact you?
The best way to reach me is actually also through my website, and I've developed, like as has Michele, like the easy approach. My website is mayawhite.com, and my email is actually maya@mayawhite.com, and then my Facebook business page is called Astrologer Maya White, and that's really where I do a lot of daily or weekly astrology posting.
Yeah.
Fun.
Great.
Yeah, I can see myself digging in deep on some of this.
Yeah.
That's great, Ruth.
Yeah.
And ladies,
Exciting.
thank you for being here. I so appreciate your being here for the launch of Enlightened World Network, One with the Earth. And with that, we're going to say, take good care, everybody. Stay tuned, because in just a few minutes, Julia Grief will be here with a beautiful session for us called Co-Creating a New Earth. So
Wow.
and we'll see you all soon.